Hey everybody, from the finish line of the 2023 Black Canyon 100K, I'm Dylan Bowman, joined by Zach Marion in the men's podium here. A fantastic, incredible race here today. Historic race, I should say. Our men's champion, Anthony Costales. Anthony, maybe we'll start with you. You were just telling me, you're chewing pizza right now, so he's refueling. So you were just telling me about the moment where you broke the elastic on Tom. You guys were engaged in an amazing battle there around Black Canyon City, around 60K into the race. Take us into that moment.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I did this race last year, and Scott Dreyer, exactly what Scott Dreyer did to me is kind of how I came on them. And I just kind of knew, like, I was in a really good spot catching you in, like, a spot where it's like, okay, we got another guy coming in. Like, I knew mentally it probably wasn't the best thing for him, but I went up that climb, and he didn't let up at all. And I was like, well, I'm racing Tom Evans. Probably not going to break him on a climb. So just be patient. And we got over the top, and I just know that's a very lonely section between Black Canyon and the next aid station. It's almost 9 miles. And I just thought, let's just rip it as hard as we can, and you might pay for this later and see how it goes. But, man, like, Tom never let up. And I didn't see him very often, but, like, every 6 miles I'd barely catch a peak, which I knew he saw me as well. And I was like, he's still there. And then, like, 6 miles later, I'm like, still there. And, like, I was like, man, he's just not letting up. Even after Table Mesa, I was like, man, I'm feeling really good, and he's just not letting up. It was just an awesome battle with a great.
Amazing battle. Tom, maybe just take us into that moment yourself when Anthony was clearly making his move on you. How were you feeling, and what was your psychology like?
I think I'd ridden down splits that I was so sure that I was going to keep to, and just royally messed them up. And we got to Bumblebee like 8 minutes quicker than I'd planned. And then kind of at that point I was like, oh, we're doing this. And at that point, it's either you've just got to commit and you've just got to say, right, what will happen will happen. And I paid the price, and when actually coming out of Black Canyon City, I took the lead to be like, okay, I'm just going to try and slow things down a bit. And Anthony was so polite, was like, hey, Tom, I'm just going to take the lead. And I was like, oh, here we go. And even on my best day, I wouldn't have gone with it. It was insane. It was so special. And yeah, it broke me mentally and physically, but I was like, I can't let him go a little bit on the downhills. And then let's see what happens on the climbs. And I could see him, and I would catch a little bit on the climb, but burn a match or two, and got to Table Mesa. And I think it's the first time not at the end of the race, that I've bent over and sort of held my legs. And my crew were like, we've never seen you do that before. And I was like, I've been trying to keep up with the champ. And and then thankfully I started feeling a little bit better on the more rolling bits. But I had a really fun day. But yeah, I think the person we're going to speak to next has possibly had the funnest day. And I'm over the moon with it.
Yeah, Janosch, let's turn it to you. You had a come-from-behind kind of day where we didn't see you in the top mix as aggressive until towards the end of the race. How did the race unfold for you, and what was your plan coming into it?
Yeah, so when I decided to run the race, I thought about a fast rolling dirt road race. And then I came last week and only did 1 day on the course, which was like the half marathon to Black Canyon City, which is super rocky. And then I completely changed my strategy. And in Europe, usually I race very conservative and then try to roll up the field. And also I checked some of the last year's stats, but I think this year was super stacked field too. So all these things, this 1 day on the rocky section, the stacked field, made me do my conservative thing, and that's what I'm really good in, yeah.
You ran a fantastic race that ultimately led to you being just shy over 8 hours, which is one of the faster times on this course. I heard you mention earlier a little bit about confidence. and how that's something that plays with you a little bit. You earned a ton of confidence chips during this race. Tell me a little bit about that and express to the people kind of, even elites, we doubt ourselves at times, and it's not always an easy day out there. Walk us through that.
Yeah, usually my training was quite good. I had really good sessions. Some weeks where I was tired, but that's okay. And then it's always the same. The week before the race, I get my doubts, and then 2 days before the race, I'm kind of can't change it now. Do your best, and it helps me because 2 days out, you usually start preparing everything, like your nutrition, and then this calms me down when I see I have the structure. I'm good. I'm prepared, and then I start gaining the confidence. And it's the same during the race. Yeah, I had probably my worst part was maybe after 15 miles, where your legs realize, oh, we are running. First 10 miles are okay, and then and it's still so far to the finish. So your mind says, yeah, we're running, and it's still 50 miles. But then, I was on autopilot for 5 hours, and the last 2 hours, I couldn't go that much faster, but also I didn't risk hell, because I thought I didn't want to risk cramps or the heat or everything with the third position and the ticket inside. So I just ate and rolled in this perfect zone where you can go forever without bonking.
I love it. I was able to watch you come through Table Mesa, and I will say you had a smile on your face that you looked like you were happy and enjoying the day, and you knew that you were going to get there pretty well. Now, to flip it to Tom, I saw your face coming out of Table Mesa, and it looked you were in your head. Tell me a little bit about that, how you left and how you were able to turn it around and have a good finish.
Getting to Table Mesa, that's the closest I'd convinced myself coming into Table Mesa that I was going to drop. I was just having a bad day. I'd got in my head there's no point in pushing that much, because you've already got a ticket, drop here, train tomorrow, and then that's the power of the team and the collective. And we're really lucky here to have a lot of the Adidas Terex team, and they rallied me, and I left. Down a can of Red Bull and left, and felt horrendous for maybe the next mile, and then things just started to click, and the team really rallied me through the aid station. But my mind was made up that I was dropping at Table Mesa, and you get into the battle of your head, but you never know what's happening in front of you, and I think that's the great thing with trail racing. You can't see, especially on a course like this. You can see snippets, and try to see Anthony, and I'm trying to count, right, I think he was here at this time, and I'm sort of then looking at my watch and trying to figure out, and I'm like, oh, was it this turn or was it that turn? And 1 minute you're being told you're a minute behind, the next you're 8 minutes behind. I think doubts 100% come into everyone's mind, and it's then just having the strategy and the team around you. Trail running's a team sport, and having the team around you that gets you to rally, and gets you to the finish line.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Anthony, back to you, the champ. On the elite men's panel yesterday, we were talking about how you were pretty bummed out, or at least dissatisfied with last year's performance. You finished 5th place here. You come back, smash the course record. Granted, it was good conditions, as you continually remind people that you're being amazingly humble after such an incredible victory. What did you do so much better this year than last year?
Last year I didn't tell anyone, but I got really bad food poisoning not Thursday before, but the Thursday before that. And it lasted from about Thursday to Monday. And that wasn't a good thing. So I went into the race already kind of not in the best headspace, but everything kind of turned around by Saturday, and everything was going well in the race. So I didn't want to blame it on that, but it was there in my head a little bit, just being depleted for 5 days, 10 days out of a race. I think one of the biggest things was Scott got in my head a little bit, just how awesome he looked. And it was just it was 87 degrees out. It was hot. I felt like I was having a hard day, but I was handling myself like pretty much the whole time. And then I got to Table Mesa, and it was still feeling I actually rallied a little bit going into Table Mesa. That was the only part of the whole day I rallied, and I left Table Mesa. I only brought calories in my bottles. I didn't have any water. It was 87 degrees, and I was like, I don't have any water. And I got half a mile out of there, and I almost wanted to turn back for it. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to get myself wet for 7 more miles. And it blew my head up.
Yeah.
Like, I completely blew me up, and I wasn't able to recover it. It went from my head to my legs. Today, it was like, I was just laughing like, man, last year you hurt so much during this section.
Did it feel like a special one today? Because
it was. I came here because of competition. Honestly, when I saw Tom's name on here, that's what was a done deal. I was like, I want to go race somebody that's the best in the world, and I wanted to like just throw down with the best, and it was just such a special moment to do that, and for Tom to still have a good race, and what you just said, I think is. I'm so respectful how you thought about, you were going to say like you were going to drop out, and you had every reason right to. You have the next month's train instead, but I don't know, I just think so many professionals take advantage of that, and you still just got the job done, and I think that's a huge respect in my mind. Yeah, but no, so I don't know where I was going with that after, but yeah, it was just things were just clicking so well. But again, like he wasn't leaving. Like I kept seeing him, and I was like, man, I know I'm like just floating these trails right now, and I run in the desert a lot, and I kind of like know that zone of like when you're on a good one, and I just knew I was, but he wasn't leaving. So I'm like, God, like, man, I thought he came out here and did all the training runs, but like it's different training it. And then there's a difference being 50 miles into the race, especially in the desert where just a little rocks just add up over time, and like they just go to your quads, and just a lot of people don't understand, like just because it's fast, like it beats you up in a way different way. And yeah, just out there, and thought of a couple weekends when I wasn't able to hang out with my daughter because I went down south to go train, and I was like, you didn't miss weekends from your daughter to go train. Be a little selfish.
I want you to keep going on this, because before we get back to the other guys, because I know you were super motivated coming into this year's race.
Yeah.
And so I'd love for you to talk about, because I know, you lost your sponsor at the end of 2022. You have something to prove, but also I'm a new dad too. So I have just so much respect for other dads who come out and race at the highest level in the world. Mm-hmm. Talk about the motivation factor, keep going on the family stuff, and if you want to touch on the sponsor stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, last year I came into it, and like a couple of mistakes I made, like training wise, was like, I remember saying to Addie Bracey, like both of us actually said it, like, yeah, I'm not going like 100% on this race because it's February. Like, hopefully I just snag a ticket and keep it rolling. And I just like missed a couple of things. I was talking to Tom about that, like motivated me this year, like hitting the weight room a couple extra times, or doing a couple things that when fatigue that I could have done last year, that fatigue comes up, it like you could be stronger. So I just put in that like extra 10% work. And for the family thing, like I said, like it's my wife pushed me out the door like one of the weekends to go to St. George, and I was like, no, it's like, I mean, it's 8 hours total of a weekend of driving just to go do a couple runs. And I did that 2 times, and then did it another third time with the family at least. And it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. But she kind of knew that was the extra little things that would help a day like this happen. And yeah, I'm thankful that my wife pushes me sometimes more than I want to push myself.
Janosch, I want to bring it back to you real quick. You race mainly in Europe. You've never been out on these trails before. How did it feel running on this course compared to what you saw on the profile and what you'd heard about it compared to what it feels like at the finish line? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I realized during the week that the trails are harder than I thought. But also, I'm not that good with altitude, and I'm very good with heat, so I thought this race will suit me. And also where I live, I don't live in the mountains in the Alps in Germany, but I live in like an hilly area. So I usually run like 200 or 300 feet climbs 5-10 times in a session instead of long climbs. And this is really, I knew the race will suit me. I'm maybe a little bit bigger guy, a little bit heavier, but I like to push over all the hills and I can't do a VK, So, I was looking forward to the race, especially with the heat.
You put down a phenomenal performance. All three of you guys put down phenomenal performances. I want to shift a little bit to 1 and 2. You guys went under course record, a fantastic course record that has stood since 2016. All three under. Yeah, all three under. Previous course record. On a day like today, pushing each other, did you guys push each other to that? Were you running your own races and it just kind of happened? Was it an expectation? Let's talk about that, because that course record is going to stand for a long time. I know we've got a very humble Anthony over here, but let's tell us a little bit about that and what it means.
It was I'm going to keep saying it over and over. Like, we had a 15 degrees and it helps a lot. And I think it was just a little bit of a perfect day mixed in with amazing competition. I didn't realize we were going that fast till probably 6 miles ago. I took a glance on my watch and I was like, oh damn, we're really moving. So it was kind of out of my mind, because I knew the splits that Trueheart kind of did, but also in his splits I didn't know. I knew he took a lot of crew time last year, but I didn't put that into effect. Because it felt like we were kind of running what he did last year, but not stopping at crew as much. But anyway, I think once I was out of Table Mesa, and I felt like if Tom catches me there, it's hands off to him, because I was just floating so well at that point. And when I thought course record, I was like, well, your UTMB index is kind of shit right now. Let's bring that down as much as we can. And that's a little bit of extra motivation to push a little bit longer to the finish.
Maybe Tom and Janosch, you guys are Europeans coming over here to the U.S. Give us a glimpse into what it means to you to come over to the U.S., experience trail culture, be part of this race, and as we look ahead towards Western States, what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different. When I checked the course in Google Maps at home, it took me 10 minutes to realize the parking lot is really the end. It's not a big alpine city. And then right after that, I was looking for mandatory equipment. Another 5 to 10 minutes. If there is no mandatory equipment, they will probably not write no mandatory equipment. So it was just the overall experience very cool, because it's so different. And also for me, with the stacked field this year, I think the people didn't know me, and the same way around, I didn't know anyone, and it was cool to just race against everyone, not just you're running. Sometimes you run with someone and this one can't do it, but this one over there is really strong, or you just think too much. And here today I ran against everyone. Every time I caught someone with my passive strategy, I ran 1 or 2 miles, realized I can go faster, catch the next one. It was cool. Everyone was competition.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You go into a race in Europe, and I probably know 30 of the top 30 men, and same on the female side. And
Do you know who Anthony was?
No. I did look at his Strava, and I was like, oh, he's not running that far, so he'll be fine. But that was only I saw the piece on who ones to watch, and I hadn't heard of anyone. So I think for here it's bringing grassroots trail, but with true elite performance, which you don't get in Europe. Here it's whoever you are, you rock up and you're fair game. There's respect before the race, maybe a little bit of respect during the race, but everyone wants to beat everyone. Whereas, in racing in Europe, sometimes it's a little bit different. I love racing in Europe, but for me, yeah, just the far more relaxed nature. I think you can get the best out of yourself. And Anthony's crew, I was maybe after Table Mesa, it's probably 5 or 6 minutes behind me. Anthony's crew was cheering for me. Go on, Tom, keep going. You can catch him. Either he's the best guy in the world, or he's a terrible friend. And you just don't get that. You just don't get that anywhere else. So no, it's super excited to have done this, and yeah, super excited to come back to the US in a couple of months, and yeah, get to California and on the Western States Trail.
Is there going to be a sequel to this race at Western States? I think a lot of people would love to see the three of you throw down again, along with the likes of Adam Peterman, Hayden Hawks, and the returning gang there. What say you all?
Right now, definitely taking the ticket. I still have some things to think about. There's another race the same weekend that interests me a lot, but Western State is not Lavaredo, Mount Blanc Marathon. Golden Trail Series, they support you a little bit to
We're
get over there.
going to get you some support, bro.
Yeah, I know, but I don't have any right now. So, some support is nice. And, I did grow up. Western States definitely does interest me, but, going to Chamonix interests me. And I grew up 45 minutes away from Auburn, or an hour and 45 away. I'm a Cali boy that, one of my first trail runs ever was on the Western States course. But, there's a lot. I got into the sport to go see new things, and that's definitely something that I think about as well.
I'm just super excited. I've raced Western States before. It was my first 100, and yeah, I'm so excited to come back. And yeah, I think, maybe we'll have a similar interview on the 24th of June. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I hope is that everyone has their best day. So it's going to be an incredibly stacked field. It's in my opinion, one of the deepest fields on both the men's and the women's side, which is super exciting. And being part of that is, I really hope it brings out the best in everyone, because you want to race against the very best. And yeah, super excited.
Janosch, final word on Western States.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. And maybe 10 minutes after the finish, Tom already told me, hey, Janosch, we'll figure this out. It comes back to being a team sport. So now I need to think about the heat training and all the specifics for this race. But like I said, I like the heat, and then Western States probably the end boss.
Well, thank you to our men's podium, Anthony Costales, Janosch Kowalczyk, Tom Evans, for myself, Dylan Bowman, Zach Marion. Thanks so much.